We're going to get a National Integrity Commission sooner rather than later, with Bill Shorten making this announcement at the National Press Club today. There's been calls for something like this for quite some time. One of those voices has come from the senior counsel at Morris Byers Chambers, Mark Robinson. He joins me now from Sydney. Thanks so much for your time, Mark. Is this what you had in mind, what you've seen Bill Shorten outline today?
It's got the right title, a National Integrity Commission. It's got a senior commissioner running it and two other commissioners running it. So at the outset, there's three commissioners, and the commission will have the power to conduct public hearings, and we're told it will run like a roving royal commission. So it sounds like it could be pretty good.
What does it need to actually tackle in terms of integrity and making sure, I guess, politicians stick to the rules, anyone employed by a government service? What do you think is the main reason to have an integrity commission?
Well, according to Bill Shorten today, it's to restore the public's faith in the structures of the national government and politicians. And he focused primarily on politicians. And really, a very large part of corruption is within the public sector, in the government employees and the agencies that serve government. A lot of corruption is there. But yes, there's some corruption in politicians, and if one of the reasons for setting up the National Integrity Commission is to restore the public's faith in politicians, then that's good. But that's only half the story. The whole public sector needs external independent oversight, and it's not getting that, and it's never had that. So it's a good thing that he's proposed.
Why do you think, I know you've been pushing for this for quite some time, what's the extent of the corruption, as you put it, in the public service? Give us an example of what you're talking about.
Well, we just don't know what the extent of the corruption is. The money scandal in the Reserve Bank a few years ago is one example, where they regarded themselves as unaccountable, and they were unaccountable. And look what happened. Our money was being spent overseas in corrupt regimes to do corrupt deals. Those sorts of things would be found out much earlier. Whistleblowers would be able to have somewhere to go. At the moment, they have only got the Ombudsman for systemic maladministration, and that's pretty hard to find, I can tell you. Or the federal police for something which is a crime, a full-blown criminal offence. This commission, this National Integrity Commission, will cover the things between crime and maladministration, between bad conduct and corrupt conduct. These things have never been looked at before, and they'll get an airing now. It'll be a searchlight on the activity that's never been looked at, and that's a good thing.
Well, there's a committee process at the moment in Parliament looking into the merits of an integrity commission. We heard from the Prime Minister today, Malcolm Turnbull, who didn't rule it out when this was preempted. This announcement by Bill Shorten was actually revealed a little earlier than his speech today. So it would appear to me, and I don't know whether you agree with me here, that we are going to get an integrity commission one way or another. We might not even have to wait until Labor's in power.
It certainly looks like it, and Shorten has thrown down the challenge. The Prime Minister hasn't ruled it out, and really the politicians' reputation in the public is not very good at the moment, and this is one tangible way that both parties can restore it. Shorten said today, correctly in my view, this is above party politics, it's above Labor, it's above Liberal, it's something that needs to be done, and it's part of the housekeeping, the basic housekeeping of government. The Ombudsman like to refer to these things as the fourth arm of government. Instead of the executive, the parliament, the judiciary, they have the integrity branch of government. This is becoming part of the integrity branch, and it's accepted, and it's not new. It's worked in the States for 30 years with some significant degree of success. It's never existed in the federal era, and it can work, it does work, and as soon as it happens, the better.
As you say, there is a very low ebb when it comes to the feelings towards politicians at this time. But this is not a modern phenomenon, or perhaps, Mark Robinson, you might believe it is. But we've seen, you know, over the last year, in 2017, Bill Shorten pointed out that 2017 probably wasn't the best year for the federal parliament. But do you see the public examples of politicians and the public service behaving badly, are they worse now than they were 10 or 20 years ago, or are we just seeing more of it in the media?
It's impossible to gauge.
Yeah.
What I can say is that whenever anyone exercises power as a politician or as a senior public servant that's independent or discretionary, and they are unsupervised by anyone, they are unable to be looked at by anyone, then corruption can occur. Now, that was the case 40 years ago, it was the case now, and it will continue to be the case unless there is somebody that can issue you a subpoena, call you into the witness box, force you to answer questions. We're talking about the abrogation of the privilege of self-incrimination, and get to the bottom of the problem straight away. And it can do so in a public hearing where the public can follow what's happened and it can be accountable itself. So this is what an ICAC is and does, what they've been doing here in New South Wales for 30 years successfully. A federal ICAC or an integrity commission or whatever it's called can do exactly the same thing and can have success in its work.
Senior Counsel Mark Robinson, thank you so much for your time today.
Pleasure.